Henry David Thoreau said once, "Rather than love, than money, than fame, give me truth." What he means by this is that the way to achieve true personal freedom was to utilize truth in every area of life. Thoreau believed that lies perpetuate an existence that is no better than slavery. To clarify, by lies, Thoreau means anything from what we now refer to as white lies to a complex cover-up, like Watergate, or, to use a more recent example, the false pretenses Lehman Brothers put forth last year, telling Americans that had invested in their company that they weren't going bankrupt, when in reality they so were. Thoreau discussed in his multiple essays this concept of lies in America's society and our government, and how our system denies citizens freedom. The best example of freedom limitation in America during Thoreau's time was the institution of slavery, which Thoreau believed was abhorrently immoral, and he blamed the government for letting the institution prosper. He believes that we are driven by capitalism, which allots Americans economic freedom, the freedom to produce, sell, and buy goods, but no other freedoms. This ties into his disagreement with the institution of slavery. Americans used slaves in the fields so they could yield more crops faster, so they could sell them and then buy more things with the money that they made. This market economy led to a superficial life, a life not dominated by truth, but by a facade of truth, created by our U.S. government and perpetuated by U.S. citizens. This realization led to Thoreau's escape into nature and the writing of his most well-known book, Walden. In it, he describes civil disobedience, a form of political action that was utilized by many important figures later in American history, such as Martin Luther King. Civil disobedience is when you choose not to obey laws or rules that you believe are immoral, because by obeying these rules, you are participating in a bad system, and thus perpetuating it. A good analogy to draw here is that although the inventor of the gun is responsible in part for the destruction it will cause, the real culprit is the one who pulls the trigger. Thoreau emphasized, however, that if someone commits civil disobedience but doesn't really know why, then that act is not moral and it does not count as true civil disobedience. It's just reckless rebellion. To truly commit acts of civil disobedience, you have to understand the morality, or lack thereof, in what you are protesting. Take, for example, the slavery institution during Thoreau's time. Whites were keeping blacks completely under their control to optimize their economic gains. To understand why this is wrong, you would have to separate yourself from society and look at it from the outside, and then form your opinion on the situation. You couldn't just simply listen to what everyone else says about it, and then base your opinion on others' opinions. That only leads to blind obedience and an unfulfilling life. To lead a happy, fulfilling life, you need to not live under the delusion that you're free, when really you're just following government codes and society's expectations. Thoreau wholeheartedly believed that happiness is not found in money or fame or even love, when it's not accompanied by the truth.